Kruger here, and you're listening to Mike the Birdman and the rest of the crew this week in Geek.net.
Legend has it that it was written by the Dark Ones, Necronomicon Ex Mortis. Roughly translated, Book of the Dead. The book served as a passageway to the evil worlds beyond. It was written long ago, when the seas ran red with blood. It was this blood that was used to ink the book. In the year 1300 AD, the book disappeared.
The first few pages warn that these enduring creatures may lie dormant, but are never truly dead. They may be recalled to active life through the incantations presented in this book. It is through recitation of these passages that the demons are given license to possess the living. Tatra amistrobin hazarta. Tatir mano mansizon hazan sobar. Samanda robza. Darhis hiker dans de rodza. Ganda.
Welcome, my friends, to this special edition of ThisWeekInGeek.net's The Prototype extended coverage. That's right. We're going to be taking a look at something really special today. We got sent a couple of codes for Evil Dead, the game, from the publisher, Saber Interactive, and the PR company. So big thanks to Sean for helping us out with this. You are definitely my Kandarian demon buddy. But I'm not alone as I travel through the deep, dark woods where I probably shouldn't have touched that tape recorder. I'm joined by my TWIG co-host.
It's Ken from This Anime Podcast and Stargate.
Yes. And then we're bringing along an unexpected ally, someone who you might say is the chosen one, whether you are going to protect us from deadites or be the one who dooms us all. An old friend of mine from college.
Yeah, my name's Nathan Carr, and I guess you could say I'm emerging from the fog of Dead by Daylight with over 900 hours to check out a little Evil Dead action and see how it stacks up.
So how we decided to structure this review is me and Ken were playing on Xbox Series X, and Nate had pre-ordered the game on the Epic Store, where it is currently an exclusive. So he was playing on PC. So each of us has a unique experience in this. The unique experience, I guess, I bring to this is I've played multiple asymmetrical games. More specifically, I specialized in Friday the 13th during its life cycle, but I've also played Dead by Daylight, though less than 10 hours, but I've played a lot of Predator Hunting Grounds, but Friday the 13th is where I specialize. And Ken, what would you say your specialty that you're going to be bringing into this is?
I mean, I'm more casual when it comes to these asymmetrical multiplayer games. I'm not necessarily a huge multiplayer guy. I backed Friday the 13th and played it for about 5 to 10 hours, had a good time. I personally got my money's worth from backing that game. I felt very satisfied with my purchase. And then when it comes to some of the other asymmetricals, I've played Dead by Daylight a little bit. I haven't really touched it all that much. And then overall, like, it's this game and that's it.
All right. And then Nate, obviously you mentioned you have over 900 hours in Dead by Daylight. So you'd sort of be our asymmetrical expert here, I guess.
Yeah, DBD's either my really good mistress or my really bad one. Either way, it hurts me plenty. But for whatever reason, I've gone back for more and more, especially over the last couple of years. It's really been kind of my pandemic game too. I started playing in March of 2020, and I really haven't touched much else, to be honest, up until Evil Dead, than DBD over and over again with my crew there.
All right, so when this game got announced, I want to say at the Game Awards last year, total surprise, and it was one of those games where I was wondering, well, there's been many Evil Dead games before. How do you intend I'm pulling this off. And the trailer didn't exactly reveal a whole lot other than just people fighting deadites. We didn't know you could play as the Kandarian demon. So I guess kind of going through the experience for us so far, I focused mostly on the single player aspect of this game, but I did dip into a few matches as Survivor and a couple of matches as Demon. So that's something that we should mention here. So you can play as multiple survivors. You can play as Ash from every version. You get to play as Ash from the original Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, as well as Ash versus Evil Dead. You get support characters such as Cheryl, who is your sister from the first movie. You get to play as Scotty. You get to play as Ed from Evil Dead 2. I think Amanda is from Ash versus Evil Dead. Lord Arthur, Henry the Red from Army of Darkness. And I don't think I've missed anybody, have I, guys?
I think
Pablo?
that there's 13 total. Yeah, you missed Pablo. 13 total, and some of those characters are actually unlocked via the solo mission. So you don't start with the full roster, but there's a couple quick unlockables. Pablo, Lord Arthur, and Amanda, I believe, were the three that you unlocked.
I'm pretty sure.
If since me and Mike have the deluxe edition, those got auto unlocked.
Are they're automatically there?
Yeah, when you, I believe the deluxe edition has them auto unlocked because I was able to play them instantly.
See, I couldn't in my experience. So that's something to mention. This game has a number of technical hiccups. So while I was playing some of the missions, for example, and this review may go in a few different directions here to talk about positive and kind of negative. So to talk about the solo missions, so what the missions are, and to compare them to something that I'm familiar with, in Friday the 13th, later on in that game's life cycle, they introduced the idea of cinematic missions. Here, not too dissimilar from that idea. You would have an objective where you would play as one designated survivor who isn't, Jack Bauer here, and you would more or less accomplish a series of smaller objectives like defeat so many deadites in 15 minutes while moving around a map fighting a very specific boss. Or there's even one mission, which is the one I'm currently experiencing problems because it is technically bugged, and that is Pablo's mission, which introduces a stealth element. And for a game that doesn't have stealth elements designed into it, it's a pretty rough ride. And this is a game that lives and dies by invincibility frames or iframes. And for those of you that don't necessarily know what that means, it means when your character is performing certain animation moves, nothing can hurt you. So an enemy can't grab you, an enemy can't hit you with a ranged attack, and if you are in a desperate time when you're low on health, as long as you can get into these iframes, it can buy you a couple of seconds in time. Plus you can dodge cancel, you can stamina reset. There's a lot of little things here which I guess open up the meta of the game, so to speak, but it does leave it open to abuse at the same time. So these missions, one of the problems that was just pointed out to me really today, and I really hadn't really thought about it, is there are no mission checkpoints, and you can easily lose like long bouts of playtime because of a stupid mistake, despite clearing so many objective points up to that time. Sometimes it's not so bad. Like I experienced dying quite a few times in the timed mission, but when I did Pablo's mission, I would get right towards the end and I would just get nuked by something stupid. And this is the bug that I specifically encountered, and I was able to replicate it about 3 times. So you're trying to collect these things to help out Ash, and at one point you find Evil Ash's hand, and I went to the house where I could find Evil Ash's hand, and I went to use the context-sensitive action prompt, and something hit me from behind at that exact second. And when that did, it locked me into an infinite loading screen. and I had to reboot the game, and I decided to try that 2 more times. The same situation popped up again and it repeated again. So that's incredibly frustrating. I'm sure I probably just need to kill everything around me before I go grabbing for that hand, but I tried to do the stealth approach and this was my reward. So that's incredibly frustrating. What about
And
you guys?
I I believe I now that I've processed everything, like I believe I had the same thing happen in a different mission. It's the very first mission. I end up getting hit right before like a still frame load cutscene thing, and it just stayed on that load cutscene and just froze basically. And I was just like, oh god. So I had to restart the whole mission over again because it was like right at the end of the friggin' mission. So that was incredibly frustrating, and I was just like, okay, what? Like I expected bugs. Like any multiplayer game I will go into, I expect bugs. That's just a fact. The fact that some of these bugs are single player only bugs is very disconcerting.
And Nate, what about you? What were some of the problems or experiences you had in the single player component of this?
I mean, I experienced some, kind of small technical hiccups on the menu. The first time I loaded into the game, I clicked on the collections and was booted right from the game. It was an instant crash. I was like, "Uh-oh, here we go." Not the great way to start the first load up. It's small
That
technical
is all.
thing. I
That
haven't
is
had.
also another crash I found on Xbox as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, nothing really game breaking though. The small elements of getting stuck on a ledge that really seems like you should be able to walk over it when you're running in a chase, and if that happens mid mission, that's been a long mission, that's frustrating. It's a frustrating way to go out without the checkpoints. But I've played pretty smoothly. Maybe I've just had some good luck in the solo missions. Nothing absolutely game breaking or no soft locks or anything kicking me out. At least as of yet. And I've completed Pablo's. I am on the Lord Arthur 5th mission, which I haven't attempted yet.
So now, one thing that I noticed, and it took you guys to explain this to me. So there is a tutorial in this game, and
Mhm.
I think it's actually remarkably well done as a survivor. Except there are some missing elements in there. For example, you can resurrect if you die in a match. One of your fellow PCs can come over and help you resurrect by taking you over to a resurrection idol or avatar or
Yeah,
whatever.
an altar or whatever they call it. Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't explain that. I actually had to watch videos on YouTube to figure that out. And I didn't know this until you guys explained this to me, and I still haven't loaded the game up to look at this just because we're recording this on a Tuesday morning. Evidently, there's a tutorial for the demon.
yeah.
Yeah, and I would say you probably get about the same experience as you do with the Survivor tutorial
Yeah,
on the
like the demon tutorial, you're basically shit out of luck.
Yeah, it's not going to go too in depth. It shows you the very minor things: set a trap, and just kind of pick up your energy orbs. But they don't go into too much detail.
Which is really unfortunate because I think if this game had a more rounded tutorial system, it would enrich the players as they go into these matches. Because to go into these matches, I've like I just mentioned, I've been watching videos on YouTube. The community for this game is already starting to build. There's already meta around who's a really good character, who's a really not great character, how your team should be composed. Because of this, I started picking the survivor Cheryl because she can heal people. So I know I'm not going to be the tanky guy who can cancel into iframes every chance that I get to take out every basic enemy unit or even be able to stun lock elite units, but I can keep everybody alive. So that's been rewarding, but I want to play as Evil Dead 2 Ash because he's the hunter class and he gets guns and I like guns. And it's a little discouraging that I'm kind of being forced to play this because the meta is that's where it's kind of forcing me right now. I did have a better time playing as the Kandarian Demon, specifically as the Warlord class, because that's considered to be the entry level kind of demon. But they can also turn a match around remarkably easy because they can swarm you. Whereas the Necromancer is, you can, if you know where people spawn, you can end that match fast. So I guess let's kind of move on to talk about the meat and potatoes of this, the actual Necronomicon itself here. Let's talk about the multiplayer experience. So let's talk about survivors first. So survivors, very similar to the missions you've just played, except now you have a team of 3 others with you. And coordination on mic helps-ish. I've encountered, out of the 10 matches I've played, I've encountered maybe 2 teams on mic, and they weren't particularly helpful. However, a really good ping system helps this game. You can locate items, you can loot for chests and stuff like that, and upgrades that are not permanent that are not permanent after the match, but you still get XP and all that shit. And it's okay, but like Nate was mentioning, sometimes you get hung up on the geometry of certain levels, which is really annoying. One thing that I found out is sometimes certain context sensitive things would not trigger when I needed them to. Like if I needed to light a campfire, which is an experience. They don't really mention how fear affects you, but fear allows you to be possessed by the evil dead. So that means the demon player can take your PC over and you can hurt your other people or waste valuable resources like ammo. So that's how I've won matches before, is by turning the other PCs against each other right when they're trying to protect the Necronomicon. Yeah, I don't know. I like playing as a survivor, but without a coordinated team, you're kind of wandering around dark. But what about you, Ken? What was your experience like playing as a survivor?
I mean, as a survivor, the couple matches that I played, one time the demon just completely DC'd, so we won the match. Which was that literally the first game I hop in, the demon DC'd, so we won the match, and I was just like, what the fuck? What the hell?
Yeah, there's some certainly early drops too. Is that after you picked up the first page really quickly, or did he just drop at the beginning of it?
No, it was like the game hadn't even loaded in yet, and the demon DC'd. And it just went to the finishing screen. I was like, wait, what?
There's
and then
similarity to Dead by Daylight with the killers dropping. Beginning, you just waited for nothing.
Yeah, and then the second match was a full match. We ended up winning at that, and we won with one of our. As soon as one of our 4 players got downed, he just DC'd. Like purposefully just DC'd as soon as he got downed. Either he didn't know that we could revive him, or I don't know what. He just like completely DC'd, and it was just the 3 of us together, and we ended up winning in the end. But it was a struggle. The game is clearly balanced to have 4 against 1.
I had a Cheryl stuck in a wall in my first ever survivor match, which was coincidentally enough the first match I ever encountered people who had microphones in, and the person who was the Cheryl was like, well guys, this has been fun, I'm gonna sit here in this wall. And literally we had to wait for the match to end to like get our experience because he was stuck in the wall. So We're like, well, that's fucking, because even the demon couldn't get to him. So that was incredibly frustrating. So yeah, weird disconnections or tech issues there hold it up. Nate, what about you? What has your experience been like as a survivor so far?
Survivor sided very similar experiences to both of you. Certainly I've experienced the drops. Again, like Ken was kind of saying, I don't know if they're just rage quitting or they don't really know that they could be brought back to life. So that's a huge inconvenience when somebody drops, especially early on in the match. And then you're looking at about 20 minutes to half hour per match, right? They're pretty well timed out, and you're losing a little bit of time there. If you're going to go 3-on-1 now with the demon, it's a tough battle. Microphone stuff, haven't seen a lot of it either. I would assume that if the microphones were working, everybody would be screaming at the one person in the match to get the hell back to the group, because
or you have one asshole that's just playing music just to be a dick.
Oh, that's it, and that's too right. There's that's on the PC. There's no push to talk button enabled, so it is hot mic. The mic is open, and I think that's one of the reasons probably people are staying off it, at least on the PC side of things right now. Other than that, I mean, the two side to side, and as we segue over into playing Kandarian Demon, I will say Survivor experience pretty fun, but getting hung up on again the uneven terrain and that. Tough breaks, DCs are happening a lot, but man, it is some hell of a good time to play some Kandarian Demon, and I'll take it over the Survivor, at least in the early get-go.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm also finding. I'm finding playing as the demon a lot more fun than I expected. Like when the game first got advertised, I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to play as a survivor. I'm just going to specialize. And I didn't expect to be aiming more towards demon, because in Friday the 13th, I liked playing as both. I liked playing as Jason because I knew exactly how to be effective using Jason 7, or not Jason 7, Jason 6 and Jason 8 were my preferred picks. And as a survivor, unless you've got a good squad, you will get destroyed here. And as a demon, I experienced the opposite, where I thought I was going to have fun, and I'll explain what I mean. So I played a match literally yesterday, and the match was over in 5 minutes. And here's why. So I'm playing as the demon. I'm going around gathering infernal energy. I'm setting all my traps. And the survivors, within the first minute and a half, they've already got a car. I'm thinking, okay, cool. Now I can see where they are on the map. They have a page of the map. Wait, what? We've been in the map like a minute and a half. The survivors have another page of the map. It's been 2 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
The match was over in less than 5 minutes, and they demolished me. I barely had my infernal energy above level 2, and they were creaming me. So either they knew the spawns tremendously well, or I was up against a Twitch squad or something, because these guys destroyed me. I had no chance. Yet the first time I played as a demon, I beat them by running out the clock, because I trapped everything and just harassed them until they literally couldn't do anything. They only got the pages of the Necronomicon with just a couple of minutes left, and then I just swarmed them with like basic units, and they couldn't do anything. They couldn't find the Kandarian dagger because I wouldn't let them get close to it. And that's one of the only matches I've ever won as a demon. Coincidentally enough, the most fun I had. But it's just,
I mean, I've really had a tale of 2 different matches too, right? Like I'll either play one that goes like you just described, and it's absolutely horrendous and over quickly. They get lucky on map spawns, or they're doing the cancel animations and just beating the shit out of my
everything.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, well, I don't even have a chance. And then on the other hand, I've had some matches where I felt like I've killed as the demon, and I've walked all over the survivors. There didn't seem to really be an in between yet, from my experience.
yeah. And that's, I think, the most unfortunate thing about this game is, you're right. It's a tale of 2 extremes. You're either going to have an extremely lucky match where you know where everything is and you spawn really, really, really close to it, or you're going to have one matches where, guess what, you're dead in less than 5 minutes. Because one of the things I was watching on YouTube, where if you play as the Necromancer class, which is basically Evil Ash from Army of Darkness, he has a support unit called the Flautist. The Flautist is the skeletal flute player guy, and what his special ability is his ability is to buff other Deadite units with additional health, stronger attacks, and whatever. So the range of that is about 50 or 60 meters, which doesn't seem like a lot when you look at the number. But when you look at the size of the map, that's a fairly significant number. So if you position him right, you can put him in an upper layer of a house, and you can have your units on the ground still get that buff. Smart players should kill the flautist immediately because it's not like he can
Yeah.
attack back.
Yeah, they'll run right into that house.
Yeah, so if you put him on the second floor and you have the units all outside swarming, all those units are buffed. They can't get near him. So it's annoying as hell to run into that like sort of thing. And I don't know. It's just, I think there needs to be some balance made here and there. I've run across one player who played as the puppeteer, and the puppeteers thing is they specialize more in possession, plus their basic units explode when they die, which is great, but that's a class I just don't like. And I know that demon comes from Ash versus Evil Dead, which I only saw a clip of that last night, which was admittedly pretty funny actually. But I don't know. It's like I want more out of these classes and more out of the experiences, and I don't know how you balance that. And I guess to kind of finish up what are, I guess, general / kind of negative thoughts, and then we'll talk about some of the positive things about this. One of the things that I do have massive concerns about is what is the lifespan of this game going to look like. So me and Ken were given deluxe editions, which gave us some additional clothing options for most of the survivors, if not all of them. It also gave us access to the season 1 DLC, which I don't know what that includes. I really don't. We're supposed to get a map. Nate told me we're getting the castle from Evil Dead at some point soon, but that's a free map. There are 2 maps in this game, so we'll have a grand total of 3 at some point soon. There are literally one mode, or I guess 2 modes, Survivor and Demon. That's it. And I want to know what the roadmap's going to like. And I asked Nate because Nate is the Dead by Daylight guy. Dead by Daylight gets very consistent updates, and they can draw upon the pantheon of horror movie icons to bring in. And I started asking these guys, because we're all pretty big fans of the Evil Dead franchise, well, who the hell else do you bring in? Like, what do other survivors? You could other demons. You could just make something up, like the demon from Evil Dead, the remake from 2013. Ken?
2013, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's right.
So, okay, there's maybe you could get some survivors out of there. Okay, cool. And some additional demons. Okay, cool. Okay, so there's like 3-4 months worth of content. What else you got?
And then maybe you pull from the new movie that's releasing in the near future.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, sometime this year.
I do find it kind of a missed opportunity that Evil Dead Rise also didn't have some kind of a tie into this game during its launch. It would have been nice to have the survivor from Evil Dead Rise be an unlockable character. Maybe that's the 6th mission, ties in the Evil Dead Rise. This is pure speculation on my behalf. It would have been nice to see some kind of tie-in media immediately. Plus, I'm actually really surprised during launch weekend, which is when a lot of us started playing this, there wasn't a double XP event or something. Because yes, you do gain XP through this, and you can gain XP to level up whoever you want. Well, if you play as Demon, it's all Demon. You play as Survivor, it's Survivor XP. And each of these survivors has their own unique skill trees, and you can reset them at any time to spec them however you want. So that's pretty cool.
That's another thing when it comes to the tutorialness. It doesn't explain that at all. I mean, obviously, if you know Dead by Daylight, it's a very similar system. But if you're just coming off of the bat, you would not know how the frick you level up these characters.
Yeah, to go through the skill trees there and put your build together, there's nothing that really dives into that in the tutorials at all.
Yeah, and it's going to take you a long time to grind up to become effective.
Any
Like-
bit effective.
Like watching some of the matches that I've played, I'm noticing a lot of new players and a lot of veterans. It seems either super high or super low. I
Well,
don't
yeah,
see a lot
and
of
they're
people in
clashing
between.
together, right? So you're getting somebody with, a maxed out character that's gone through their whole skill tree, and then you're taking a level 1 survivor in there against them. So there's not really any balance there as far as things that they can add. Short of cosmetics, yeah, some new missions for the solo thing, even though that's not the focus. Some new gear, some new loot. There doesn't seem to be an overwhelming amount of loot. At least at the get go, or customizations to the weapons and that. I think they're going to have to start playing around with some of that pretty quickly, or it might get stale pretty quickly. I think it's still new. I think it's still exciting. I think it's a big year for Evil Dead. So there is a possibility that, what else are they going to put into this thing though?
Yeah, exactly. Like I want to see the season 1 roadmap for this, and I want to know when are their expected targets, because we're in the spring right now, but summer's coming up, and that means a lot of people are going to start taking vacations and time off work. School's going to be done. How are you going to keep the player base engaged? And the fact that Nate is playing this on Steam, I know the Epic Game Store
Right.
is huge
I am
because of
playing on
Fortnite.
It has to be Epic. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's Epic exclusive.
Yeah. So what is that player base like when you compare that to something like, say, Steam, which I would wager this will be available on Steam by Halloween. If it isn't, I would be surprised. But I'm very concerned.
To be also positive, the fact that this game has crossplay across all platforms.
Yes.
So you're all in the same pool, and crossplay is automatically turned on. Given the fact that the further this game goes, the more cheaters are going to start popping up. PC is going to start being its own walled garden.
Yeah, I'm in one of the Evil Dead Facebook groups there too for the game, and there's a overwhelming amount of comments saying that they're switching off the crossplay, and this is only 2 weeks in. So we'll see what the Epic player base is like, because we'll probably be just playing with each other for the next little while. It's sounding like a lot of console people are opting out of the crossplay pretty quickly. Now it's, is there that much cheating going on? Is there a lot of glitches and bugs in it that people are just exploiting? Probably not necessarily hacking, but exploiting glitches and bullying with that is definitely something that's going on right now. And the console people are mindful of it. And as a PC player who doesn't fucking cheat, it's frustrating, right? So,
Yeah.
especially when you read it all the time.
Yeah, like I remember in the Friday the 13th community, people who used to cheat or use exploits. There was a map called Higgins Haven, and if you wanted to fuck with Jason, there was a way to get on top of the cabin, which is the big lodge there. And Jason literally, he could throw knives at you, but he would run out of knives. So odds are he couldn't drop you, and you just had to move around where he couldn't hit you. So you could win the entire match just by going, yep, well, fuck you. I'm going to go sit and make a burrito now. I'll see you in 15 minutes, Jason. Now, to talk about some of the positive things, because we've been ragging on this for about a half hour. This game nails the Evil Dead vibe in remarkably groovy ways.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, like
definitely.
it's got the right sound design. The survivors, they look how they should. They have good voice lines when they talk. If a little repetitive, as much as I love Bruce Campbell, if I hear that, hey Deadites, I created light. Bruce, the next time I see you, it will not be you who makes the quip at me. Quick side story. So about 15 years ago, when I was first starting TWIG, I was at Fan Expo Canada during one of its big events in Toronto, and I'm hauling a piece of camera equipment on my shoulder, and I'm with my crew, and I'm thinking, guys, we got to get to our next interview. I'm just pushing through a crowd. I'm thinking, guys, just move. It's heavy. I'm fat. I don't have time for this. And Bruce Campbell goes, hey, you, nice hat. And I was like, fuck off or whatever. I just was not in the mood. And one of my producers at the time says, hey, wait a second. And we go back and look at the footage 7 hours later once we get back to our home in Niagara. I'm thinking, did Bruce Campbell just say I have a nice hat? And it was just so ridiculous because it's his voice crystal clear. And I'm thinking, well, guess I'm not meeting Ash anytime soon. So yeah, that was fun.
I thought you were going to say you said that line to him back at the con many years ago, and he just ended up in the video game. But instead, you told him to go fuck himself. So that's good too.
Oh no, it was just the fact that Ash gave me a compliment and I was just so in my own head, I just didn't notice. But yeah, like this game, it nails the atmosphere. And what I mean by that is, so last night I decided to watch the first Evil Dead, and then a couple of days prior, I decided to watch Army of Darkness. And this game rides the line of all three of the original trilogy plus Ash versus the Evil Dead television series remarkably well. It nails the humor, the over-the-top violence, but when you're playing as the Kandarian demon, it nails the horror aspect remarkably well too. And it was something that I didn't notice really until last night. When I was watching the first Evil Dead, there's a very specific way that Sam Raimi has the demon perspective where it's going through the woods, knocking over trees, and just how the camera moves as the demon. And when you play as the demon in the game, because you play as the spirit energy or whatever you are, it hugs the ground in the exact same way. So there's definitely a level of care given to the detail in this game. Sound design wise, it really hits a lot of the same things. Like I said, the character's quip, it's pretty funny. Pablo's pretty amusing. And you manage to hit what you want. The game knows what it's playing to. So the folks over at Saber Interactive had the right team working on this because it's crafted with the same love and attention that Friday the 13th got from Gun Media and Ilphonic when it came to developing Friday. They wanted to nail it right, especially when they brought in Kane Hodder to mocap Jason for all those kills.
And I mean, the also the positive is that Saber has actually made Saber slash Embracer Group has made a statement saying we're very happy with its sales, with the game's sales. We are aware that it didn't review as well, but we would rather have the sales rather than have a critically positive, like a overwhelmingly positive critical reception. As long as the fans are happy, we're happy.
Yeah, and this very much is a fan service game. You guys hit the nail on the head, right? It looks great, it feels great to play. There are a lot of nice, subtle nods and even not so subtle nods to the franchise. And from that first Deadite kill, man, when that blood splatters right all over you, you know what you're getting. You're getting an Evil Dead game. It's a lot of fun for the fans. I think fans are really going to enjoy it. Is there enough content initially? Probably not to hold everybody, but we're going to give it a chance. I'm definitely all in on sticking around and seeing what happens. They did have great sales, like Ken just mentioned. I think I saw Bruce tweet out 500,000 units in week one. So we'll see where it goes and if it grows, and they have certainly some room to improve on. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see them do something as a thank you for 500,000 sales. Maybe here's a weekend of triple XP or something. That would be wonderful. I think there's a lot to like here, but like we've just mentioned throughout this review, content, we need to know more and we need to know it soon. Now, the price point for this game is just about right. If you want the basic retail copy, I think it's about $40. That's a pretty good price. I'm not going to lie there. The deluxe edition, which gains you some cosmetics and whatever else we don't know yet, is an extra like $20. So I want to know
I will add in this though. The price point, yes, fair, but know that you are getting a multiplayer game. And don't be buying a game for, $40 of value thinking, oh, it has a single player mode. You're not going to get $40 of value on the single player alone. Just know that it's multiplayer.
I think for just a general audience, this is kind of a wait for a sale and then get a bunch of friends to buy it with you and play in private lobbies.
Yeah, like I would like to know, because Nate, you know the Epic Game Store environment more so than I do. How often do they have things similar to the summer Steam sale?
They do a lot of things.
Pretty
I mean,
consistently.
yeah, they're consistent with it. They're doing free game drops. Actually, I think this week it was like Borderlands 3. Download it within the week. Pick it up. They're just trying to get people. I think for Epic is trying to get people to port their Steam libraries over there. So they're doing a lot of stuff that's on Steam and they're trying to bring it over for free. They do flash sales. I think there's one on right now.
There's one going on right now.
June 12th or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they're doing stuff to try and get a player base, not for a lack of effort on putting things on sale. So I don't know if it's as frequent as Steam, but there's certainly sale opportunities on Epic, and they do have.
And also Epic tends to give you a coupon for if you buy, I think it's usually like anything over $20 or $30, you can get an extra 15 off.
Yeah, correct.
All right, cool. So I guess our final verdict for this is, at least for me, I think the game is worth picking up at a discounted price. And you may, like Ken said, maybe want to coordinate with a few of your friends to see if you can get a good group of at least survivors going. Or if you intend to play as a solo demon, if you went in at the base price of $40, if you're a Dead by Daylight player and you're a dedicated killer player, maybe you'll have a lot more fun here. As a survivor, the situation is a little mixed right now, but we'll have to wait and see. I think the roadmap needs to be expanded, so keep an eye on that. I imagine, like we just said, there'll be a sale at some point. Halloween should be a very big time, especially if they're smart. There'll be some sort of a brand synergy with Evil Dead Rise, so hopefully they'll do something there. And then, Nate, what are your final thoughts on this?
In terms of going up against DBD, I think it's very hard to go up against Dead by Daylight, despite all the flaws that do exist in that game. But I play it enough that I harp on them enough on chat in there. DBD's just got a big roster, and they have been around for 6 years now. They're going to the 6-year anniversary, so you're playing a pretty, I don't want to call it a polished game, but it's like polishing a turd, I guess, because there's still plenty wrong with it, but it's been out for 6 years still. So for Evil Dead to get in there and go head to head, I think a lot of people in the DBD community are itching for something else, though. There is a lot of gripe with the game. There's a lot of unbalance with the matches. So I think that this is an opportunity for them to get in, but they got to come out strong. They got to show that they're providing the content and they can convert some people over. Very different game, though. I mean, you're getting to fight back against the demon in this one. It's not exactly like Dead by Daylight when you're running around fixing generators all the time. But there is enough of a difference to kind of separate them to say, hey, what are these guys going to do with Evil Dead? I'm excited for it because it will be a great alternate for me to hop on over. I've enjoyed it. I've got 3 friends that'll play the other survivors as well, which helps. And we'll see. I will agree, though, that right now it's probably a wait and grab it on sale and definitely have that group of friends because it's going to burn out a lot faster without them, I think.
Yeah, so those are our recommendations, folks. So once again, big thanks to Saber Interactive for providing us with a couple of retail copies for the purposes of this reviews. Big thanks to Sean for helping us out put together this review for us. So guys, we're going to check out here on ThisWeekInGeek.net. Be sure to stay tuned for more great geek content as I recover from surgery. So hopefully by the time you hear this, I've not joined the ranks of the undead, and I will not be haunting a forest near you as a Kandarian demon. So until next time, folks, for This Week in Geek, we have been from the great state of New Jersey.
Ken from This Anime Podcast and Stargate.
And my old college chum,
Nathan Carr. Good to do this again, man. It was so great to reconnect like this, man. I had a blast.
Same here. And for This Week in Geek, I've been Mike the Birdman saying, be excellent to each other. We'll catch you guys next time right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
Why have you summoned me, Ashley?
Okay, first off, you don't look anything like your photos, so you might want to update that.
Lady, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store.
Who the hell are you?
Name's Ash. Housewares.
I'll swallow your soul!
Come get some. Hail to the king, baby.